All right, let's get this thing started. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tim Vixay with my crippled friend, and this is episode 30. We are in the studio with... it's the most guests I've ever had on one episode. This is going to be a mouthful. Repeating guest, Kevin. I think he's been on like 3 now. And then new guest, Eric Bramwell, also known as Chops, which saying your name is just really weird. We're going to go with Chops for the rest of the episode. Right. And Rhea, is it Winehouse?
Yep.
And we're all part of the, what are we calling ourselves now? Mouthbreathers Scuba Dive Club?
Yeah.
So what's the official
That'll work. Mouthbreathers Scuba.
Mouthbreathers Scuba.
We are a dive club. So,
So
just don't have to add it to the end.
Mouthbreathers Dive Club. MDC. MBDC.
Sure. The website will be on there.
How's everyone doing?
Good. Awesome.
You guys all just got back from a pretty big trip. Let's just Rhea, describe the trip.
So we went to North Sulawesi, Indonesia to go diving and do some environmental and social work. And so it is in the Coral Triangle. And so we got to see the most diverse species on the planet. And then we got to help plant coral. And we had a terrific day supporting a village and an island that I've built a library and a trash bank on. And then we all got to work together cleaning up the beach. So it was pretty awesome.
Was that your first time there?
No, it was my third time there.
Third time. And it was your guys' first time in Indonesia, in Asia.
In Asia, for me,
Asia, yeah.
That part of Asia.
Yeah, obviously.
The real part of Asia.
Yeah.
None of that Middle East Asia shit.
Right.
Actually, we should also mention, well, I mean, you guys know Kevin's a Army veteran, but Chops, you were Army Airborne?
Yeah, I was airborne infantry, about 4 years up in Alaska.
Most of that must have been fun.
Well, I didn't know I was going to Alaska. I went airborne to school and thought I was going 82nd or to Italy, and
right.
They sent me into
No, I didn't even know they had an airborne unit in Alaska.
I didn't either until after I got out. Had to look it up.
Yeah, I actually I play rugby with a guy who is a Cold War era like Army veteran that was stationed up in Alaska, and says like the OPSEC there was just like you weren't allowed to talk to anyone at a bar. Like you couldn't tell your name or like unit. Like
no.
Yeah.
I think we were pretty well known, especially the infantry guys at the bars there.
Well, this is I mean,
back in the day.
80s. Yeah, this is like during the Cold War.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Aleutians are the only place America, I think, has ever been invaded during World War II.
Yeah.
So
it's insane. And Rhea, you're also an Army veteran as well, right?
Nope. I'm all civilian. My dad and my grandparents were all in the Navy and Army.
Okay.
And then I just hooked up with you guys because my father was a quadriplegic, and so I've been swimming and snorkeling with him most of my life, and now I get to do this with you guys.
Yeah. No. Let's go back to the trip. How many days were you guys there?
14.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I know I've been to Bali once, but I flew from Chicago, and it was, how many legs? 4 legs. We did a stop in Abu Dhabi and in Malaysia, and then Depensar. But what was the flight there like for you guys?
It was here to it was here to San Francisco to Singapore, and then Singapore on to Manado from there. So San Francisco to Singapore is 16 hours, just a little over 16 hours, and then another 3.5 from Singapore to Manado that we did, fortunately, the next day and not.
How long were these layovers?
The one at San Francisco was about 5 hours, I think.
Oh, really?
On the way down, and then we were overnight in Singapore, and then
Do you guys get to go out and kind of explore around Singapore at all?
no, I mean we would have had time, but I just after 16 hours on the plane, I was pretty done. So,
that's a cool airport too.
yeah.
Probably one of the best in the world, just as far as you could
They
just
keep
spend it.
saying
You
it.
could spend a day there and just walk around and look at cool shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Singapore's an amazing place. If you guys ever get a chance, I would really recommend. Just it's such a futuristic city that, like, I don't know, it makes like me feel like the U.S. is just behind.
Yeah.
You know, like you go to like New York and it still feels, I don't know, it just feels like New York. But you go to like Singapore and you're just like, what? Like, what year am I in? You know?
Yeah.
And then once you guys, like, what were the like accommodations like as far as like the hotel and everything?
There in the Philippines? Or, I mean, in
Indonesia.
I mean, kind of your typical island dive resort type thing.
So it was a full on like resort, like.
Well, not really. So the place on Limbo was, but the my favorite spot was at Banca Island, and it has a much more remote desert island, or not desert, but deserted island type feel to it.
Huh.
There's no fresh water on the island, so all the water has to be trucked in. Everything runs on generators, and they're turned off during the day, and no internet, no Wi-Fi. You know,
Only get there by boat.
yeah, you only get there by boat, and there's no.
Are there cars on the island?
No highway system on the island. The villages are linked by walking paths, a lot like Fiji.
Or by boat.
Very, very similar. Yeah, or
Like all the tanks are picked up by boats when we're finished, and
Right.
they take them to the dive place to get them filled and then brought back. So nothing's going up over the hill or anything like that.
We
Yeah.
got to get you closer to the mic, Rhea.
Oh, sorry.
We can move it closer to
And
you
then-
if you want to lean back.
And then Limbe was more resort like, but still remote. I mean, it was its own island. They do have a road system that links the villages there, and I think they're closer also to one of the major ports on Manado,
Yeah.
and so I think they're at a benefit for being able to get supplies back and forth.
Were
very easily.
were there any challenges as far as like accessibility for you?
Beach sand on
Yeah.
the first one, which is all. I mean, I'm a diver. I'm gonna get into beach sand,
Right.
So I'm ready for that. The first place was great. I mean, it was just fantastic.
I'm just trying to figure out like if I were to go on the next trip,
Limbe
how
would have
difficult
been
this
hard.
would be.
Hard.
Limbe
Yeah.
would have been. There was nothing there that wasn't uphill. Everything had steps. I mean, you had to step up to get to steps that went down. You know, like it was just. It's an engineering marvel how they managed to put so many steps in this place. It would have been very, very difficult. We could have gotten you around on Banco though. I
Yeah,
believe.
easily.
Yeah.
And they said that they would have put out on the sand to get you to the first unit, just put planks out, and they've done it before.
That
Oh,
would have been
cool.
Nice.
Yeah. But then there is 2 steps up, but, you know.
Yeah.
So they were trying to brainstorm after we were there because we were trying to see ways that we could bring more people. There's 7 units up in the front. 3 of them are doubles to try to figure out if there would be a way to do a whole group of us right across the beach.
The good thing about dive destinations, places that are actually set up as dive destinations, is like saw the same thing in Fiji. The staff that works there is just more than willing to go above and beyond to help out any way they can. You know, I mean, I always joke that in Fiji, I had a little bit of difficulty just with the weather and being a little less prepared for that trip than I was for this one. But I I have no doubt that the staff there would have literally made me a throne and carried me on their shoulders if that's what I would have wanted them to do.
We got Chops here for just to wheel
Oh,
me around,
Yeah.
wheel me around, and
That's right. Man.
yeah, we were roommates in Bonaire, and I didn't really shower like every day, but I think I took 2 showers, and it was like, you know, we had that big, what was it, like a step to get in?
Yeah.
Shower.
Yeah,
Right.
it was yeah. So he'd just have to
Challenge.
wheelie me up. And
That was so on Banca. At least the place that I was in, and I think I went into your guys' bathrooms too. There's a single step down into them that we could have overcome for you easily.
yeah.
But the bathrooms there would have been awesome for you.
Really? Yeah.
They were just all pretty much open. Ours didn't have any partitions at all, so you just had the toilet, shower, sink, all in one big concrete
And no
room.
bumper on the shower at all. You
Yeah.
just
Nice.
Yeah, that would have worked great for you.
Yeah, I have had some challenges with showers lately. It started with Bonaire.
The
Just
Bonaire's not set
bathrooms
up
in
very
general.
well.
Like I would have to, to get the door closed, I had to wheel in, transfer onto my shower chair that was over the toilet,
Yeah.
pull the chair into the shower, close the door, and then bring my chair back.
Right. Yeah.
For Jeff, he just finally told us, "Will you take the damn door off?"
Yeah, they
and
took-
so
they
we did.
completely took
We
the
popped
ba-
the
the
pins off,
bathroom
and it
door
was
off.
sitting.
They
outside.
were in
So
one
then
of the
in Paraguay, the way the shower was, or the bathroom was set up, we couldn't close the door at all. So, I mean, I was pooping with the door open, and it was funny because if I just kind of
that's what brings you closer to people.
if I just peeked around the corner, I could just look at my buddy sleeping in bed. It's the fucking weirdest thing. I was just like, whatever. We're all veterans. Like, this ain't the first time I've looked a man in the eyes while he was pooping.
Right.
What was the diving like? Because I saw some pictures on Ria's Facebook, and then I actually got off Facebook like 3 days ago.
It was pretty phenomenal. Two very different types of diving at the 2 locations, and
Water's warm. I assume.
I am hogging this interview, so go ahead, Rita or Chops or somebody.
You want to say what it was?
Chops, how did the diving compare to Bonaire? Because you're the least experienced diver here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true, huh? Thanks for pointing that out, Tim.
No, he was,
Well, I gotta one up you on something. Like, I can't grow facial hair, so
Well, mine didn't start till I was 30, so I gave up.
so you're
while.
He
saying there's a
actually-
chance.
he actually. yeah.
I actually
I
did.
don't know
I
if you have the
discovered
genetics
2
for it,
new
Tim.
hairs that were like coming in on the side of my cheek. So I'm getting there.
So
Well,
Chops actually wasn't the least experienced diver on the trip, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he had that. Yeah.
Yeah, going back to your question, man, it was amazing. I mean, the coral diving and stuff, I guess, was in a sense similar to Bonaire, but in Bonaire we didn't have to deal with the drift either, and so the currents there they can really move you around the islands.
Really?
So that was new for me.
Some strong currents in the Limbo Strait.
Okay.
So the Pacific just flushes through there.
Cozumel was very strong when we were there at the end of August.
Yeah.
And like drift diving, if you hit that sweet spot, it's awesome.
Yeah.
But when it gets thrashy and you're just like,
Oh, and then if you got to swim through it,
yeah,
you know, like I could tell it was getting bad when I see Kevin start using his arms, because that's when I knew he was getting tired.
Yeah, there were a couple of times the guides were usually very, very good at reading the changes in the currents and turning us.
Turn this around.
Yeah,
But there was once in particular where we were down about 90 feet and a big headwind came in, shall we say, and they seemed determined to push on through it.
Yeah.
So it certainly made for a short dive for me and a couple of us.
what were the boat crews like down there?
Oh, they were great.
Yeah.
Super nice.
You don't have to deal with any of your own stuff.
Oh yeah.
everything's set up
They
for
just
you.
set you up, huh?
Yeah. Once you line, a few growing pains in the beginning with that, but once you get them lined out,
Man, I'm getting so jealous right now. Like,
yeah.
Oh, it got to the point I'd come up from the end of my dive and they'd be like, "Chops, tea?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, give me some warm tea."
Warm
By the
tea.
time I'm on the boat and they've helped me get my gear off, they're handing me some tea and some fruit or cookies.
The boats
Oh,
there
it's
are great
awesome.
too. What is that? What are they're called? Bangas, right?
Right.
Yeah, and they're completely covered. Most of them are homemade, and they're very well constructed. But they're completely covered front to back with a big roof. So you're always
how wide are these?
they're big boats. They're about
Yeah.
35 feet long, and
Yeah.
At least
I think
like,
15 feet
they're
long.
wide. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably at least 15.
well,
feet
because it's
wide,
got
I
a
think.
4 tanks wide, and then the aisle on both sides, and then we do a backflip, so enough room for our fins in the aisle to get by.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was
Plenty
different
of
from
room.
over
Very stable boats too, so you're not like having to fight
Yeah,
your
some of
footing
those
all the
boats,
time.
man. Like,
Yeah.
And it had a stable platform. They have the motors to the inside and then 2-step platforms. So Kev would just gear up. He did a backflip and you went front.
I did the front one at first. That was the thing, was how was I going to get off the boat? Because it's not the backwards roll. They are high. It's about a 3.5 to 4 foot drop to the water. And the way you have to go off, my ankles will be already locked. And so there's all this kind of stuff to catch your fins on. And so anyway, I did a front roll or a front sort of face plant at first. They got really nervous about that, and then so they had me giant stride off the back step of the boat for the rest of the time. But the last day, if we'd had that same boat, since they changed the boats on the last day, I back rolled off of it, no problems at all. It was a lot closer down to the water, and I could get on the edge where I could roll without catching anything.
Rhea and I have been getting pretty good getting in the water.
Yeah.
Where I just do a complete
Just
front
roll. Yep.
Yeah, it's
and
awesome.
then
I love it.
Right you. Yeah.
We would have seen those bankers. I guess we would have just sort of hauled him up in the boat, huh?
Yeah, I think
Over
we'd
the
still
side.
put your chair in the back, but we would have had to walk you up farther.
The chair on the boat would have been fine. But I'm talking like getting him out of the water. I guess we'd have just hauled him over the side, maybe.
Or on that step, I think somebody like Chops would hang his legs down
That's true.
and lift you up, and then somebody
the armpits
like me
again.
would then actually get you to sit on this. You know how we kind of pulled you up like this? We'd
Yeah.
actually make another seat, and then
Right.
another seat because there's a step and then a step.
We'd have figured it out.
Yeah.
We'd always figure it out, right?
It's true. No, we've definitely have always just kind of adapt and overcome everything. You know, just trying to figure things out, and it definitely helps to have friends.
Yeah.
Get
And
that
also,
system
I
down.
think the partners we've been meeting in other countries, like they're willing to let us figure it out because
Yeah.
there's sometimes they're looking at us like we are crazy, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm swimming with Tim, kind of dancing and turning you and everything, and they're just, "Are you okay?" You know, like that's the places we go. We have really good partners, and so they've been really supportive. They're just like, tell us what we need to do. And I also like that they're not trying to overly protect us.
Yeah.
It's like the only time we've been held back is having Kevin not be able to do the face plant, but then turned around and came up with a great way of getting you in the water. So it wasn't a no. It was just kind of like just honing what we would do on that week on that boat.
Yeah. Did you guys get into like any night dives or?
Yeah.
Was it 3 or 4 night dives?
Wow. What anything unique as far as wildlife or?
More squids. I mean, lots of octopuses, but you see octopus during the day there too, just as
Oh,
often,
really?
so,
I've never seen one during the
Oh,
day.
they're
Yeah.
just
They
every
mostly
single
are
dive,
in
I
the
think.
day, yeah.
I think most
Oh, yeah.
most dives we saw octopus on. Yeah.
So the difference between the two places we were at is when you get to Limbe, it's all the ash and pumice from all the volcanoes. And it's got a lot of sulfur in it. There's places that were literally hot, and Kevin and Chops were putting their hands in.
With vents, visible
Yeah.
vents coming through
And
the sand.
so-
You could put your hands in the sand, and it was just super hot, like sauna rocks almost.
And so there's all this rich nutrient, but there's nothing. It's like a barren desert. And then you'll see a hairy frogfish walking across, or a wonderpuss, with the only octopus with its eyes on top of its head. It's like it developed this really crazy, unique set of animals that are down there, and most of them use the pumice as their way of concealing themselves, or they'll find little islands of stuff that's growing, and they're masters of disguise. I mean, that's what but in that, how they got there is like really crazy stuff.
And exactly. They'll move in and make their own little reef system out of the trash. It's wild. It's a crazy place.
Are you saying like trash, like literal plastic trash? There's
garbage everywhere.
This type of diving is called muck diving, though. I don't know if we said that or not, which doesn't sound fun.
That was
actually really amazing.
Last 5 days.
Yeah.
All muck diving.
But because Limbe is a strait, it is getting more single-use plastics than any place in the world. And the island we've been working with, they've gotten rid of all single-use plastics in the villages, in the schools, in the resorts, everywhere. But the potato chip wrappers and stuff are coming, you could tell, from China and all of that.
Yeah.
And part of the great thing about working with this group is when I used to start going there, people were like, somebody's got to pick up this plastic. And now we dive with bags. We pick up the plastic. We help do the weekly cleanup. And there's still tons of plastic.
Recycle programs.
And when you see the free-floating plastic, there's lots of jellyfish there. And the jellyfish don't sting there, but the turtles eat them. And when you look up, there are times you cannot tell the difference between the plastic bag or a jellyfish. You're literally going to grab a piece of garbage and it's a jellyfish, or you go to grab. You cannot tell. And it was like that a lot there.
It was pretty eye-opening.
Yeah.
And you'll see like along the beach. So they clean up the villages there. The Indonesian government has done a very good job of beginning to clean themselves up. But the villages have really jumped on board too. But you'll see like on these black sand beaches, there'll be all this garbage and stuff, right? And then there'll just be troves of jellyfish. And
wow.
I didn't know it. I didn't think they were capable of having thought with no brains and all. But Rhea says that they gather up in the trash, so as sort of a protection against the turtles.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because they used to, at night, on a full moon, you'd hear about like man-o'-wars. You have to be careful for the fire. And that's that jellyfish instinctively band together to look bigger than a turtle. But now they're actually using the plastic to do that same thing, because that's how they're surviving. But it's also how many of them are being beached, because now once you have a really high tide, it's two oceans balancing itself, right? And so you get these sweeps of tides. And so the jellyfish, the plastic, all of it is coming in all at once. It's deposited high up, and then it recedes, and it doesn't come back up there to pull it back in. And so it's just kind of this constant wave of plastic that keeps landing there, which is...
Definitely more jellyfish on the beach, in the water too, but on the beach there than I've ever seen. They come out with rakes at low tide. The resort, some of the resort staff and the dive guides will go and pick trash up and stuff, and then they just take rakes and rake the jellyfish up into piles.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
What do they do with it? Because you can't
probably wait for the tide to come and take it back out again.
What do they do with the plastic? Or
the jellyfish?
They put them back in the ocean, because actually, for jellyfish to survive, the decaying jellyfish are part of the actual water content there. So, and there's lots of them.
Yeah, lots and lots and lots. And we got caught in a jellyfish Armageddon on our last dive. There were 3 or 4 of us waiting on a ladder, and the current had picked up really strong. And I'd actually jumped back in after I handed my BC stuff off to pee. And started, so I didn't have my BCD on or my fins, and started kind of getting swept away with the current. I didn't want to admit that, but I was struggling to get back to the boat, and I dipped my face underwater and just saw this swarm of jellyfish coming, just swarms of them, and they reached us before we could get on the boat, and it was like swimming in a pool it was filled with like giant Dippin' Dots or something. Yeah. You couldn't even move your arms without hitting jellyfish.
Oh, I know. Legit gave up my man card on that last night. Like, you usually get up to the boat and you're supposed to hand them your fins, and they help you get out. Man, I just straight up went the ladder with my fins on and said, "Screw this, dude! I don't want to get stung," because they were everywhere.
Did anyone end up getting stung, or
I don't think they really sting that much there. Yeah.
I think it's more that they do. You can see that they have tentacles and they have different colors, and so it gives you that sense that it's like like a sci-fi movie.
I believe they can sting, but they're not. They're not a jellyfish that you need to be that concerned.
Yeah.
With,
Bonaire, man.
The Hydra though. The Hydra got me. It's this. It's kind of similar to fire coral, but it's its own thing. It's this pink-looking, like sort of van coralish looking stuff, and I didn't know about it. I went to look at this eel, wasn't paying attention, and laid down on some Hydra, and it got me across the stomach.
Shit.
And that was. I'm still like bumped up and itchy from it, but. That was, Is
it like poison ivy?
Immediately when it happens.
Like poison ivy, or
no, it stings. It's like a
little
bit
like
wasp,
like a little bit like a poker and a wasp, a hot poker, kind of. Yeah, because at first it burns. That's why.
It's not enough to like send you shooting to the surface, but it's
you're
very uncomfortable.
I saw it happen to him underwater, and he like twitched. Like I thought, like he convulsed.
Yeah.
I wonder what that would feel like if I got like my leg or like ankle on it or something.
I think your body would react to it.
I probably would
just
spaz. Yeah. I think I would just go to a spasm.
The other thing we had to be really careful of is the emperor urchins. They march across the ocean, and they're big and they're colorful and they kind of glow, and they have this like
cool. They're very cool looking.
Yeah, and you go to look at something, and so all of a sudden, like you feel a little prick on your leg, and like 6 little big urchins have marched right under you while you're looking at another creature. It was like, wow. And sometimes you'd see like 40 of them at a time. Just they walk across, and right out of the cap. They sift the sand, so that's just all they do is.
They look like they have all these little like blue and red LEDs around them,
that's
like
crazy.
in the daytime.
Yeah,
too.
It looks like something off out of the abyss or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's a totally like alien world down there. It's just like
one thing that I was sort of encouraged by was it was very sad seeing all the trash. But it's sort of reassuring seeing how a lot of that just gets taken back over by nature. Like once it settles on the ocean floor, like it immediately starts becoming part of the reef. And pretty soon you'll just have like barrel-sized mounds of coral, that form, and the things make homes. Like we aren't picking up any glass bottles or anything metal. They said to leave that there. And actually they were telling Rhea that if the trash has grown algae on it, that at that point it's
already
part
a
of the ecosystem
habitat,
because things are eating that now.
Yeah.
And so it gave me a little sense that not all hope is lost, So
the earth is gonna heal itself, and it's gonna.
It's like going on an old highway.
It'll be around way longer than we are.
Yes.
We're just kind of a blip.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Those warm and fuzzy thoughts.
That's how you justify your plastic use. And,
as we sit here.
Yeah. Well, I like anytime I buy something from like Amazon, it's just like, shit.
Well, that and because Amazon will ship you your SD card in those giant envelopes too inside a box. 12 pounds of tape
Dude,
on it.
You know what I do because I got Amazon Prime is if you decline the Prime delivery, you get $1 digital credit.
Yeah.
So if I'm buying like 8 items, I'll check out one at a time.
Yeah.
And get it shipped individually, but I get $1. So instead of $1, I get 8 digital dollars. But I feel like a piece of shit because that's a lot of extra waste. Yeah, I get extra boxes, extra plastic. I'm just like,
I wish Amazon would come up with a thing like a reduced packaging option or something.
You know what they should do? They should just have plastic containers that they ship to you, and then you just leave on your porch.
And they take it back.
It's not a bad idea.
I bet you. I mean, that would. You think it would save them money in the long run because they wouldn't have to just keep buying.
Yeah.
Oh, I better get Bezo on.
Right, yeah.
That's a $1 billion idea. I think we just funded our next couple dive trips.
Right.
Maybe a Mouthbreathers liveaboard.
Yeah, right.
I like it.
You know, if I ever did become a billionaire, that we would definitely be getting a fully accessible liveaboard.
That would be sweet.
Yeah, total. You know.
Yeah, if any of your listeners out there are wondering what to donate,
Yeah,
fully ADA accessible liveaboard would be a great option.
I still haven't done a liveaboard trip yet though. As far as diving. Yeah, and I know there are, or I've heard of some wheelchair accessible ones, but I haven't done enough research really.
We were actually talking about that. We talk about this stuff randomly, and we think like maybe an aisle chair would be a decent thing for the inside, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're just basically moving back and forth. You wouldn't really be under your own power so much then, but it's not.
That's what Chops is for.
That doesn't really affect me.
We need to just get one of those like baby carriers.
Yeah, like
Throw you in a backpack.
Yeah.
Only if he can carry you on his front.
The front, face to face, or
Face to face, buddy.
Well, ever since I've been diving with the two of you, Chops and Tim, I've been thinking we need to kind of create not just the scuba team, but a travel team. Like that that's what the three of us do. Like whatever we have to do to get you on a liveaboard, I think we just do it and solve it in real time. And
yeah, I like the idea with the aisle chair.
Yeah.
Just to get around, like if I might be able to use this chair in the room to get around, and then
don't compromise.
If we
compromise,
but if we want to, I need some level of independence.
yes, but I think on most liveaboards you'd have all your independence upstairs, and then to be able to get around in the hallway in your bedroom, because that's how they get stacked like this. So you could take the first bed, be able to get in your aisle chair, get in the bathroom, get back, and then when you got to the upper part, you would also be able, usually all of those are all on one line where the food and then the diving is happening. Or you get into a dive boat like we've been on before. A lot of the bigger boats that don't have hallways with closed doors so you could get through usually have boats that come up, hook up to the liveaboard and take you on the dive. So it's all really level.
Yeah.
No elevators. So, I mean, that's the one. It's the independence is going to be the stumbling block is the 11 stairs between lower deck and upper deck.
You're gonna have some like just meaty calves.
Yeah.
The more we hang out, dude,
my
you're just
legs? They're bad.
Yeah, and he's thinking about quitting smoking. So that.
Do it, man.
Oh, I've been thinking about that for a while.
Yeah.
Well, how about if we dangle a liveaboard trip in front of him?
I think I finally kicked my cigarette cravings, but I also dip like a can a day now.
Right. So you
Trade one.
Yeah.
But No, it's nicotine. I think is one of the hardest things that I've ever had to try to kick. I mean, I tried quitting dip for I don't know how many years, and I just keep going back to it because it's just like I don't know. For me, it's like accessible, where you know you can't. Like I don't like smoking in my truck or in my house, but I can dip and drive, and you know as much driving as I do, like it's kind of nice just to have a dip in.
It's like something to do.
Right, exactly.
That's the one thing I would miss smoking is miss out on all those relationships you get like with the other smokers, because sometimes you never get to meet people until.
Yeah, but then you also, I mean, you open up some doors because there's like people that won't even date smokers or consider it. So
yeah, that sucks. Yeah.
You get to open up some more doors. And I'd be willing to say there's probably
I don't like such judgmental people in my life.
I'm gonna go with that one. Yeah.
Would you ever consider like let's say Edie quit smoking and then wanted you to stop smoking in the house?
Yeah.
Would you be back on the market?
Oh no. No, I mean, if she quit smoking, then became like a smoking Nazi about it, then I might have an issue. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm under no impression that it's good for me. You know, like I know it's a bad thing, and I know that it's not that I have to quit. So it's just the working up the nerve to do that, to make that commitment.
Dude.
You know?
I mean, it's like anything.
Transition to dip.
Yeah, I'll just quit.
They do. They have those like nicotine pouches.
The pouches, yeah.
Where it's
The
not.
guy gave
It's
one
not.
of those to me on a plane one time. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, the non-tobacco, just nicotine, right?
I don't even know if it's the nicotine as much as the inhale, the way it feels.
Yeah, I agree. No, I get it. That's what I like about like cigars.
Yeah.
Kind of lets me get close to a cigarette, but yeah, I don't know. I don't miss it
too hard, and then it's hurting.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm perfectly fine with dip. Like, you can dip on an airplane.
You can do that.
Like, dip in the movie theaters. Like,
well, it's like, you know, I know sugar's not good for me, but it didn't stop me from buying a couple bags of cheap Halloween candy once I got home. Oh, it's so bad, but I can't stop eating it.
yeah, no, I got some chocolates from. We should break that out before you guys leave. Some chocolates from Paraguay.
Oh yeah.
They're like little macaroons, but our Terp got it for us. Keep calling her a Terp. Our translator.
It's the same.
It is, but it sounds so mean. Yeah, she got like these. They're like macaroons or macarons, whatever. Macaroons. Yeah, they're like those, but they're like the ones she got me 2 different boxes, and one of them were like normal size, and then the other box they're like jumbo. Yeah. It's like eating like an ice cream sandwich.
Wow.
Yeah. But they're so good. Yeah, we'll have to break one out. And they're like different flavors. There's like Nutella and like peanut butter. It's pretty good.
What are the health codes like down there? I mean, does it come with dysentery too?
Well, I mean, you can eat monkey. So
you can eat monkey down there.
Yeah, I didn't try it. But
I typically try to stay away from all jungle meats.
Bush meat.
Yeah.
I did have we went to the steakhouse. And it was really weird because so Paraguay, like I knew nothing about it except that like there's like it's one of the landlocked countries in South Africa or America. South America. But dude, it's such a cool, interesting place, and kind of like really surprised on how accessible it was compared to some of the other South American countries. Yeah. But the food there, man, they're all about their barbecue and like their meats. But we had we had cow tongue, and it was like the best way I can describe it was like a brisket mixed with like a jerky, like beef jerky.
Yeah.
Because it had like the consistency of beef jerky,
Right.
but like the moistness of a wet brisket.
Yeah.
Could you taste the or feel the bumps on the tongue?
No, because I mean this thing,
had that,
You
yeah,
never
it's
ate
it kind of like pulled
burritos and
apart.
stuff? Or tacos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've always been able to taste like you can taste the taste buds on it, like the little bumps on
I've
the
never
tongue.
noticed that before.
Yeah, no, the way we prepare it,
Just
like
weird.
like how like Laotians prepare it, we just slice it up and grill it, and you can still taste or feel the yeah.
Yeah.
But no, man, this was like it was like a slow roasted.
Like pulled pork or something.
It was like a pulled
Yeah.
pork, but it was like it was chewy. It was really good. Yeah, the food there was amazing. So, how was the food in Indonesia?
I mean, it wasn't bad. You couldn't describe it as bad. It was just
It didn't change.
there's not a lot of variety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
Is that just because of where you guys were at, or?
I think that had something to do with it, but I don't know.
I think being on an island,
Yeah.
getting certain things were.
And it's probably just what they eat in that area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But chickens are the biggest thing they eat on the island, and you know, and they chop up a whole chicken and cook a whole chicken, and so I think also people were kind of surprised at how many bones a chicken actually has.
Oh
And
yeah.
I think that and because of the way they butcher them, they just go at them with these meat cleavers,
Yeah.
so it leaves all these little bones, that
Yeah.
you're not
Shattered parts of
expecting,
the-
you know?
yeah.
Yeah, exactly, shattered.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So like, just describe it for me. Like, let's start with like breakfast. Typically, what were you guys
Rice.
eating? Rice and eggs.
Eggs and noodles.
And noodles, yeah.
The noodles for breakfast were good. Yeah,
Omelets too sometimes.
they eat soup for breakfast too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My brother,
It's one of those
for
things.
the longest time, because he doesn't really like a lot of variety. Like, he has ordered chicken strips at Red Robin's for
All
like
his life,
20
yeah.
years.
Yeah.
You know, but he used to just eat fried eggs, rice, and soy sauce, and that was like his breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have sweet soy sauce there, which I hadn't had before, and that's really good.
Sweet soy sauce.
I didn't know that was a thing.
And kind of like two different kinds, I would say, like salsas.
Yeah.
So
Chilies are a big
yeah.
thing in their diet.
Yeah.
and onions and
Yeah.
like a lot of different flavors for the onions, and so like every meal had like the smoky kind of really chopped up, you know, sauce, and then more like a, you know, picante sauce, you know, but the flavors were really. That's what made the meals different, is to get the different sauces. And
Yeah.
What kind of fruits did they have out there?
Dragon fruit.
Oh yeah.
Dragon fruits, a lot of pineapple, plantains. There are
Yeah.
plantains everywhere there.
Papaya.
And watermelon. You see watermelon in Indonesia more and more.
Pumpkin
And I'm not,
too.
yeah,
The,
lots
Pumpkin,
of pumpkin.
wow.
Yeah.
it's not the pumpkin that we know.
Like, it's just squash.
It's, just,
Yeah,
it's a
a
squash.
gourd
It's a type
squash
of
kinda
pumpkin,
hybrid, yeah.
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 Or as my mom says, squatch.
Oh yeah.
It is.
But like you would get squatch salad, and it would just be this big, you know, with a hard crust on the outside, and it had been baked with dressing on it. So you'd be scooping it out of, you know, something that
Interesting.
had a really hard outer surface.
Yeah. And then so like lunch, dinner, I imagine was just like chicken.
Rice.
Rice, and there was
Rice.
always fish.
Yeah, don't forget the rice. There's
And there was
plenty of
always
rice.
white fish, lunch
Mm-hmm.
and dinner,
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah.
Man, I'm getting so hungry thinking about food.
The first resort was not, because it says like we went, was it 5 days at one and 5 days at another?
So we had eight
eight days at one, yeah.
At the first one.
So we did 8 days at the first place, which was real cool, and they had like the beachfront kind of places we stayed at. And then we went to the nicer place after that, which was, didn't even know you could take a step up from where we already were, but it was, the food there was just amazing.
It was
Like
better.
raw
It was
tuna.
much better. But
It had a
the,
lot of
the
European.
First, the Benka, the first place we were at, was my favorite, though, hands down. Just staff resort location. It had a much.
More
It
traditional.
didn't. Yeah, you didn't. At Limbo was awesome. But Limbo felt like where you would go for a vacation.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Binko is more
Like I
personal.
felt like
you get
I
some of the
felt
staff.
touristy there. So that kind of, and Benko was like all the staff, like we would hang out in the smoking areas at night, and like it was a much less formal.
Yeah.
And I really liked that about it.
Yeah.
We had to get permission to have the dive guides have lunch with us, and when they ate every meal with us when we were at there.
They were encouraged to at Benko, and then there's definitely a separation of staff and guests at Limbe. It's just a different. They get a different clientele there.
Yeah, and they're owned by two different groups. So the dive company in Limbe is the people who own the two other resorts, and Benga is one of them. So it's just a whole different.
Yeah.
There's something really cool about a trip when you can get on like the local level and really get to know like people from different cultures and just walks of life. Like I noticed when we went to Bonaire, like, and that was, my second time there, but we'd always stay at the resort and you're always getting served by people. But like, when Chops, like when me and I just forgot his name.
Tyler.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Went out. Yeah, when we would go out into town, like we would, like you were like Mr. Popular, and like everybody knew you, and like they'd just come up, "Oh, hey, Chops, what's up, man?" Like you knew, like
he's the loudest guy on the island.
Well, he knew like all the bar owners and the DJs, and I was just like, "Geez, dude!" Like
that was him in Indonesia too. It's the home of the selfies. And he was like a giant, and a lovable giant. All of the young women are all, chopsing it up, and he was very good. Yeah.
Tell me more about the humanitarian stuff that you guys were doing.
Actually, Rhea started that foundation, so she'd be the one.
Yeah. So the Limbe Foundation needed a partner in the U.S., and I had come to them because there had been people sitting by the pool saying somebody had to clean up the plastic, and they have the bags there that you could take on every dive. And so I went and got a bag for everybody who was complaining along there, and they were really pissed off, and they introduced me to the management, and and I told them what I had done, and they're like, "Well, we're starting this foundation, but we need somebody to come and help with the plastics program and a library and all this," and I'm like, okay. And so we sent Nick there for 2 months, and he helped get all the single-use plastics out of the schools. And then they won these books that would teach about recycling, and so they needed a library. And then the Trash Recycling Center, they pay people for the plastic, whether it's from the ocean and dirty, you can clean it up and get more money, and or you could bring it in dirty and somebody else will get paid, but everybody gets paid for cleaning up and recycling. And the library is there. It's not finished, but it's there, and they have a room where they go and study, and there's 80 kids who use the library every day, and it's a pretty fantastic thing.
Is there a website that we can link?
The Limbe Foundation.org is a great way to find out about the work they're doing. And then on the Mouthbreathers Facebook page, there will be an upload of all the work we actually did while we were there.
All right, yeah. I'll make sure to include links to all that, like in the description of the podcast.
No, go ahead. Talk about.
So, I thought it was really cool because it was almost like they set up, like we have the bottle deposit system here to encourage people to recycle their cans.
Mm-hmm.
But there, they don't have anything set up like that. So the Limbe Foundation is the one that gives the money to these kids and people to encourage them to clean up.
Yeah.
But then where's Limbe Foundation get the money to do that? They don't. That the government hasn't. So they basically set up a way to start encouraging people, and that's why, they need money. But at the same time, they're encouraging local business for the moms and stuff who stay home with the kids, and they're making purses and all these cool things out of plastic and trash items.
Yeah.
And that's another way for them to raise some income and sell it, and the Limbe Foundation will buy it back from them, and then they'll sell it to, say, guests, and they'll use that money to throw back into the Limbo Foundation to increase more kids to recycle.
Yeah.
It's just
That's what the
awesome
that
program.
Dutch guy's doing with the ocean cleanup project. He's building those big skimmers,
Yeah.
and then he's going to turn the plastic he recovers into like sunglasses and wallets
cool.
and stuff. So,
Well, one thing we found a lot of was soles of shoes, and there's a guy, I just didn't really realize it, but in South Africa, the Zoris or thongs or, whatever they are, and he makes all kinds of huge pieces of art, and I just never realized. I saw that article, and then we're there. We picked up so many soles of shoes, and it's like, and there's toothbrushes, and, so bringing an entrepreneurial like solution instead of a government solution, I think has a lot more creativity to it, and also the reach we could get, like all the pictures on Facebook of us going there. We weren't just standing there with a little sign. We've got all these kids hanging off of us, and we're playing soccer and going through the town, playing a guitar and teaching the kids rap songs. So what you're looking for is kind of an engagement where it's like spiraling. It's lifting a lot of people up at the same time.
yeah, no, it sounds really rewarding.
Yeah. And then one afternoon, it's been something we've been working on. We collected supplies for material and zippers and things to make jewelry, so they have beads. And so the Portland Saturday Market vendors support the foundation that the Mouthbreathers are supported by. And so we took all that stuff there. And what you realize is in 1 year we can come back and buy back the bracelets, and you know what I mean? And there's a product that's actually being creative, and people, they need more money, can just go show up at the center and work. So
That sounds amazing. I think
trying to actually make Limbo or PKK, which is the village there. That's Limbo is the island and the resort, and then PKK. I shortened it because I can't remember the name of the.
To be a sister eco city and cultural city, so we could share back and forth, because we have a lot of plastic here, and I think we could be teaching them, especially like from our market, or helping them learn how to do woodworking, but have them come and say the things they've figured out to do with plastic is, while we're getting rid of plastic, there's still an abundance of plastic, and it would be great when you have a sister city program, you get to do an cultural exchange, which I think would be really fantastic.
Yeah, that's a cause, like, I think everyone should be able to get behind. Is we got to figure out what we're going to do with all this trash, because the more and more people that live on this earth, the more trash we're just going to continue to produce. And
we did that, and that's a big part of what we're wanting to do with Mouthbreathers as well. And while we were there, we also did a coral restoration project too, which was like certainly one of the highlights of the trip for me. It was really cool. We did the class on it, learned more about coral in about 10 minutes. Then I was thinking about you the whole time in the presentation, because I knew that coral was a living thing.
See, I didn't
know how.
It's an animal, apparently.
I didn't understand how.
It's an animal? No,
it's an ecosystem of animals. It's like a.
I thought it was like a plant.
It's like an aspen tree. It's a giant organism. Individual organisms. So,
and they eat from the ocean, and they deposit their exoskeleton.
Coral is essentially their poop.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about you, because I didn't fully realize how it worked, how it grew, how it survived and fed and all this.
Yeah.
And then
I
we did
honestly
this,
still
and then
don't.
we went out. We actually went out to the coral beds where they've been growing the new coral seedlings, if you will.
Yeah.
I've seen that. Yeah.
And then broke some of those off and went to the site where they're redepositing them at to start a new reef system from one of the reef systems that have been dynamited there. And we actually got to go down onto they call them spiders, those little metal webbings that they've planted, and and we got to zip tie them on there, and then they grow over the top of that. And that was another thing that they coordinated with the local village too,
Right.
Yeah.
because steel is very valuable on the island, and steel is what they use to make these structures that they're growing the coral with.
Yeah.
So they had to work out with the local fishermen to be a part of this whole thing, so they felt some ownership, because they knew that the fishermen would find out where the stuff was and just go pull it up
Yeah.
and sell the steel,
Yeah.
you know, if they didn't have some sense of ownership
Yeah.
in this project. So it's been really great. And, you know, we were working with the trash thing on Limbo, and Elizabeth does a very similar thing there on Banco
right.
Island too. So all these islands are kind of like, they're getting hip to what they need to do, and this is the place that
They're
they
woke.
live. So they're
Yeah,
taking
woke.
pride in their community
Yeah.
and their own, and you know, it's great. It's
And before everybody gets telephones, you kind of want to get in there and be part of the solution, because I think if you knew us by the telephone, we
Yeah.
don't look like allies, or do you know what I mean?
oh that's
that,
the great thing.
That's
about,
like to have this whole village of people are down at the boat when we come, and they take us through the town, and they're interested in us, and they can't believe we would come. And it's not like help. We just participated in being part of a community. And I think that's like what Westerners have to be really careful about, is like, for each of us, like Chops to me, he's like a different man than the first person I met. If you'd seen him in town holding hands with the kids and doing the scary faces and cleaning it up, like, did the kids help him? Did he help the kids? No, like when you're having this shared experience, it's not like this.
Yeah. You know, it doesn't feel like you're coming in like the great white savior.
Yeah.
They've had enough missionaries.
Yeah.
I
hear you.
They need a partnership now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Right.
So,
And I think compared to a lot of people who go to the not go to the village but go to the resort, we are very pedestrian. We are very working class, and I think the people knew us as that, and I felt really proud of that. You know, really proud that we made our living with our bodies and our hands, and that we sang songs. And do you know what I'm trying to say? I think
There's a book that I just found out about that I want to go check out. It's called like something along the lines of when helping hurts.
Yeah.
And I've been listening to a lot of the Joe Rogan podcast, and he did a recent episode with a MMA fighter named Justin Wren. I don't know if you guys know his story, but he's been going to his name on Twitter is like the Big Pygmy. And he's been going to Africa and building wells and stuff, and just living in the Congo for.
he retired from MMA, right? He doesn't fight anymore.
He hasn't fought in a couple years.
Yeah, I think this is kind of just his thing now.
It's been his thing, yeah. But yeah, it's really. I went back and watched. I think he did like 6 episodes, and I just went back into this and just was watching this, and that's how I found out about the book. But it just got me thinking about. I mean, because when we went to Paraguay, we did a lot of PR stuff, and we went outside of the capital. It was like a 3-hour bus ride, and we went to this village where they were trying to become one of the most accessible places, like wheelchair friendly places. So, but I mean, I got to meet this this mother I think she had 8 kids total, and 4 of them were disabled. They had some kind of disease, and one of them ended up dying, but she was at this, we were there just talking about wheelchair rugby. So she was right there in the front row with her 3 sons. And like one of them's a lawyer. I think the other one is like or he's going to school. One of them's a lawyer. One of them's going to school to become like a psychologist. And the other one's still in high school. But they want to, they're all in chairs, and they were really trying to push and turn their town into like a wheelchair friendly spot. And it was, I was just trying to think of ways that we can help them, but instead of just showing up with a bunch of money and saying, hey, here you go, like figuring out just different programs that we can do. And
Well, I think doing things, the money, like people want, we don't want to kind of bring a Western solution to some of the Western problems we've created. And, you know, some of the partners in Limbo have been a little like, well, you know, money doesn't work, you know, but working with the priest does, like having Methodist street cred is really important in there. And, you know, to be worried about, that guy was the nicest guy, probably one of the most similar people, him and I, in a village. And, you know, and we're looking at each other. We were just laughing and hugging each other because we were getting a library and all this. And we knew in that moment, like in any other place in the world, we should not know each other, except right here, we get to do this. And I wasn't a missionary. We weren't missionaries. We were just there. I think that's like becoming a really important thing, because when you try to just help, money doesn't solve the problems. Actually, some of that is the problem, you know? And so I believe in donations for big ideas, but some of the real changeable ideas are people going and working with other people.
But you obviously have to be able to fund these programs. So money on one end matters, but when you're dealing with people that were born into, if not abject poverty, at least what we see.
Oh, dude, poverty. It's poverty on a different level.
They don't know. A lot of times, pouring money at that particular thing, it just causes way more problems economically. It's just now it's like what I was talking about. How one of the problems that we've done in Haiti.
You kind of create like a dependency.
And you change the political structure of the area that you're in. And, it's just, so it's, and it's not as rewarding. I mean, it's not as rewarding to just throw money at something and hope that it helps. I mean, if you're not in there getting your hands dirty with it, I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, I think I would agree.
That's why I'm liking this Sister City program, because then you get that personal perspective of people going there, coming here. Sorry, something I wanted to say too is Portland. I mean, we're so progressive here. People are getting rid of plastic straws and plastic bags, but you don't see how that affects anything because their sanitation, everything's already so clean, and how we are. So being over there and seeing trash there and a completely different thing of what they're living in and around makes you really appreciate what we do here more so than I ever did, because I'm just spoiled. Used to
That's when you came back. I was like, "Hey, welcome back to the first world bubble."
Yeah,
and it's
right.
It's exactly what it is, man.
It was funny. We were coming back from the coral restoration, and Chops and I were sitting on the back of the boat smoking, and we were coming back, and Chops is like, I've been picking up trash, and then I went and did coral today. And he's like, I tell you, a year ago, I never would have thought. I was like, shoot, Chops, you're a hippie now. Yeah. Like, you're gonna vote for Bernie next time.
Well, we're not gonna go that far.
It is a perspective changing thing.
Yeah,
to see it firsthand. To get outside of your Americanism and travel to other places and look at other lifestyles.
I have always encouraged just traveling. I feel like a lot of, for example, we were all born here, and it's been shoved down our throats since we were kids that this is the greatest country on earth, and we have it better than everybody else, and we're number one. You know what I mean? And it's those people that never get outside of the U.S. that don't really understand why it is the greatest country, But you have to go and see it for yourself. You can't just, watch a video on YouTube or see photos online or read a news article. You got to get out and on that local level and see, how people live.
Well, and then another thing is just seeing something that we consider to be downtrodden or whatever, not everyone is super unhappy with the way of life that we seem to feel sorry for sometimes.
Yeah,
it's like, and that's encouraging to see that we don't have to strive towards materialism to be happy.
There's a documentary. There was a documentary that I don't know if it's on Netflix anymore, but it's called Happy, and it was just pretty much talking about like they would go around and interview people from all over the world. And it was like the little things make him happy, you know, and it's, I don't know what that was, but,
we got a caller.
I don't know how this thing works.
Betty from St. Paul, you're on the line.
Yeah. But, damn, I lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
You were talking about the Happy documentary.
Yeah. And like, I think we're just so comfortable now, like in the US, like we just have it so freaking good where now we're going to complain about all the little shit, like what Starbucks doesn't have Merry Christmas on their cups or like dude, you don't know about this? No. It's a big deal. It's the war on Christmas. Yeah, you didn't get your service ribbon for that?
No.
But yeah, like when we're allowed to be like this comfortable and this cush, then that just kind of allows us to lose track of like what's really important, and then we start kind of fighting over. It allows
the powers of be to control that, like what we focus on. Other than it's just I mean, I love it here, and I'm a proud American, but. We've got issues and we need perspective. It's
it's hit a comical place.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna blow my mind when my nieces and nephews are in high school and they're learning about this era, like the Trump era. He's gonna be in the history book.
Yeah.
And it's like, what kind of lessons are they gonna have to draw from it? Like what kind of questions are they gonna ask about this era and like the impact it had moving forward?
I don't even know how to relate to them, like getting bullied in school on your phone or Facebook.
Oh, dude, it's a tough time to be a kid.
That wasn't
right
even
now
a thing when I was a kid, like.
Yeah, it was, but it only happened from 9
in the morning,
8 to 2,
yeah.
and then you
didn't reach the entire school at once.
Yeah, you get off the school bus and you go home and you're safe for a little bit, but now it's like you get bombarded with DMs or tweets or whatever, and it's just like memes or even if you're not even on that, like I mean they're creating memes of you, and everybody's got a phone with a camera and capable of taking photos and recordings, and man, it's a tough time to grow up. It really is. Kind of feel for them. I mean, dude, you imagine if you had Twitter when you were 14?
I can't imagine having the internet.
Some of the shit,
I would have never left my room.
Some of the shit you would just tweet out and it just would be there forever. And
I don't even have a Twitter.
I'm saying if
some of my subconscious thoughts were at my fingertips
at 14, just raging of hormones, you just
God.
Yeah. You would be
that people don't know that I
you would be unemployable. You would just 100%.
We feel the same back then that you definitely can't say. It was like a joke.
Yeah.
And now it's like, ooh.
Yeah. You can't even say like retard, for example. We were dropping R-bombs all the time. We used to do the thing with the hand too. You remember that? Yeah. You can't do that anymore.
You probably can't even be the Mouthbreathers, but it's okay.
I know, that's...
Well, we're just going to own it, I guess.
No, we're going to reclaim it.
We're reclaiming it. Just like my crippled friend. Like, there's so many people that are like, dude, you have like the best name for a podcast. This is just great. I just interview my crippled friends, No, I think, so... With the humanitarian stuff, this would be something that I could get behind in like future trips where like, you know, wherever we decide to go, there should be at least some kind of
Yes.
Humanitarian public relations.
The coral restoration is actually very important.
Oh yeah. I mean, anything like even
some sort of giving back thing, and that's what we need to be about.
Yeah, or you know, even if like I don't know what we would do in like Bon Air, but if we brought a bunch of backpacks for kids or something, you know, like.
Well, Gertie and Rory are taking the restore 2.5-day class over at Buddy's, and they're going to be planting coral. They're going to identify areas. I mean, it was really impressive. And then the flamingos have been like starving. 140 flamingos came in just a couple of weeks ago, and so they're trying to figure out what's wrong with them. And so like their natural habitat is just under all of this pressure. And so, you know, they literally need people to just be helping them try to deter, you know.
This might be a dumb question, but what if flamingos eat? They eat other fish?
Algae and shrimp.
Shrimp, okay. Yeah. So, yeah.
They eat those. That's where they get their color from the
pink
shrimp.
Yeah.
And,
really?
Yeah. So they eat in those shallow water pools. They're like kind of pink and green, and like and Bon Air is an awesome habitat for them if you go to the north part of the island.
Yeah, I've seen them.
So there's pink algae, and then the shrimps eat it, and that's why they look pink.
I don't know what that is. Is that your phone?
It is me.
And
I
even said before we started.
I put it on.
I let you use my charger. I let you use my charger. But yeah, like I don't know what future trips we have coming up, but
we don't either yet.
Still kind of up in the air.
Well, I think one thing we have to think about is, do we want to take a liveaboard, or do we want to just go suss out a new place?
Do both.
Because if we want to suss out a new place,
we can raise.
I think we should go to Florida.
Yeah.
Because we can go down, a lot of support for vets diving down in the Keys and then the Key Biscayne wrecks. So, you know, that would be where we could get more people to advance.
How deep is that wreck?
They don't have any wrecks there below the recreational.
Okay.
The one that made into a reef.
So Key Biscayne has 6 U.S. wrecks there.
I'm going there in January. I think I'm going to spend the whole month out there. And actually, an old employee at Oscar Mike lives in I think like north of Miami, but he's a big diver, so we're going to try to arrange a shark dive.
Nice.
Pat Wickens?
No, his name's Tom Sargent. But
is that near Disney World?
No. Disney World.
I mean, Disney World's Florida.
Yeah.
I've never been, but I got friends that live in Orlando. Don't they have isn't Harry Potter Land down there too?
Yeah, because that's Universal Studios, and then Star Wars is Disneyland.
And then was that Epcot?
That's Disney.
Yeah, you can dive there.
I heard that you could dive with sharks in Disneyland. Is that true?
Yes,
is that
at the aquarium there. Yeah.
Disney World.
Yeah.
Sorry, Disney World. Yeah.
That'll be fun. We saw the shark cave the shark cage at the Georgia Aquarium. Remember seeing that behind the scenes? Were you on that tour?
Yeah.
We went behind the scenes.
Not the one you were on, but what do you mean? Where was it?
It was back where they're gonna have the shark exhibit.
Oh no, I didn't.
Yeah, dude, it's a giant.
I was up
cage.
at the.
Oh no, this is all
well
below,
shark
like in
exhibit the whole day.
the pump rooms and everything. It was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that we gotta get you on that Georgia Aquarium dive sometime.
Dude, this is my first trip too, where I actually saw sharks
Oh yeah.
in the wild and dolphins, but
what kind of sharks?
White tips.
White tip mainly, but then we saw some black tips too.
Are those dangerous? Like either of them?
No,
not the reef ones. The oceanic white tips can be insanely
aggressive.
Yeah, they're pretty chill, man.
No.
What imagine, were there a bunch of lionfish?
Yeah, quite a few, but not as many as I expected.
You're just not allowed
The way
to,
you
because
guys
they're
were
natural
talking,
there,
I thought
right?
that there were going to be like way more of them.
Oh,
But,
they're bigger than I.
but
Yeah.
we would see them in groups there, though, way more often than you see them in Bonaire. Like there may be 6 or 8 to a little pile of rubble.
Mm-hmm.
And then one knew my history. I go to take a photograph, and it chased me all the way to the surface. I mean, it like took a look at me, and it's like, you have been killing my ancestors. And just, I like had to take my fin and like all the way up, keep it away from me.
No way.
It
Wow.
was coming after me.
So the biggest puffer of my life,
Yeah.
as a puffer fish enthusiast,
They're
that's a big deal.
dude, I don't know what it is about them. They're just so damn
They're
cute.
my favorite fish.
They're
the most
so
majestic
damn
fish in the
cute.
ocean.
Do you see he's kind of starting to look like a
Yeah.
puffer fish?
No, I genuinely love them.
Love them,
It's
yeah.
your spirit. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Like it's totally
It's
your
a
spirit
spirit
animal.
animal.
It is. my
And
spirit
they had
animal.
little orange ones and a blue-gray one and
Yeah, all
like a
different kinds.
spiny
Wait,
one.
so now how
and-
big was this one?
Oh,
It was
big.
like the size of. It was laying in like a barrel coral, and I actually had swam below it at first. And Hani,
Yeah.
since he found out that I love pufferfish, had
Was our
pointed it
dive
out
guide.
for me. And so whenever I went up there, it was like a medium-sized dog. I mean,
Yeah.
there
It's
are
big.
bigger ones, but this is the biggest one I've seen. It was.
Wow.
It'd have probably been 20 pounds or so if you'd have pulled it out of the water.
And we saw a Napoleon or humphead wrasse.
Yeah.
That is a big fish with a giant bubble on its head.
Wow.
That was pretty wild. But
So-
that's wall diving, not the muck diving. So there was a lot of big.
The wall diving was so awesome.
Yeah.
That was
Giant
was great.
turtles.
I was,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Geez, like hundreds of turtles. Yeah.
And here we're trying to be so careful not touching the corals, the barrel corals, and then a giant turtle swoops in and just like completely just takes out the entire side of like a 200-year-old barrel coral.
How big are we talking?
Oh, they're big, like
Yeah.
like 400.
This is shell size.
Yeah,
not
the
this-
turtles
yeah,
were
this-
huge.
It's like a smart car.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah. Literally like
Yeah.
little smart cars,
Yeah.
just like plowing into things.
and could have cared less. Chops is there posing.
They're
and
everywhere.
everything. They're everywhere. They're just like,
everywhere.
oh yeah,
They would sleep up on. So we were on this wall. It was. I mean, we were
to the
we were
abyss,
almost 100 feet down on it, and it was blue
Yeah.
below our fins. So I don't know how big this wall was, but and there, so they'll be laying up against the wall, just kind of sleeping. You'd be looking at those, and then there are 3 or 4 more are swimming over your head. Like you
Yeah.
just,
Yeah,
Her Hani tapped me at one point and looked at my shoulder, and I look, and there's a turtle like 6
Right
inches
there.
from
Yeah.
my face. Like
Yeah.
holy shit!
and big jacks and like big schools of fish
them,
of
and
big
giant
fish. Yeah.
trevallies and-
Wow.
Yeah.
lots of schools of fish. There's one dive that just I don't know. It was like a Disney Wonderland under there. There were everywhere. We were just swimming from one school of fish to the next. To all these different schools of fish too, different colors. And I've seen schools of fish before underwater, but not like just one school, 2 schools.
Yeah.
Schools
All
were
around,
five, you know, just yeah, it was really really cool. And you'd swim through those little gold fingers or whatever they were called, and they wouldn't scatter like some of them do. They would just part,
Kind of part away.
and then they'd close up around you, so you're in the middle of them. You just have they're keeping arms reached around you, you know. But it was really cool.
And after Kevin got his legs all dialed in, he had a bionic leg made, but it
Yeah,
didn't work. But then we tried floaties and stuff. But then he dialed it in, and then he could just go down and just let his breath out and just go down and be with the fish, and they'd just close around him, and he'd be there just cruising along. It was
Man.
pretty amazing.
It
That
was
sounds
pretty
incredible.
awesome.
And you know, Kevin dies with his prosthetics.
Prostheses?
Prosthetics by the prosthesis.
All the same, yeah.
But for those who don't know Kevin, but like the VA's done these cool things with his feet, where he's got a button that pushes his heels or his ankles so that he can kick in the water, so he's not locked to walk. And he was coming up to the boat, and one of them wouldn't unlock.
Yeah.
And you want to finish this part? Oh, it was just funny. So my ankle got stuck. And that same ankle eventually broke on the trip.
He broke his
2
ankle
days
on
from
the
the
trip,
end. And luckily, I'd brought, since we had the extra free check bag, I'd brought a whole 2 whole new setups.
Some spare parts.
But yeah, so but it was getting stuck, and we couldn't to get back on the boat. I needed to be put back into a walking position so I can climb the ladder. And so Hani would always come. Hani was my dive guide for the whole trip, and Hani would always come up and take my fins off. It's just easier. He's already there, and then do my ankles. We couldn't get the ankle to work, and so finally, I just took it off since I have the screw where I can take that leg off and change it with my other leg. So I just took it off under the water with the intention of handing it up to the boat crew so that Chops could like hit it with something and make it unlock. And but I just took it off and I handed it to Hani, like the whole thing under the water. And he got the craziest look. He took it and it was just like, he had been diving with me, so obviously he knew what was going on, but I don't.
He just didn't know, okay, what next?
That his mind fully processed, but it just happened.
I know no sign for a lost foot.
This guy just handed me a leg under the water. Yeah, what do I do? Like, this is new to me.
And you're just all nonchalant. Like,
I just handed it to. I think the fin was still on.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. The other funny leg story is Kevin had his swimming legs out by where the umbrellas are, and one day it just starts pouring, and there's new people, and they're running down the stairs, and I see them just stop, and they're looking, 3 umbrellas or 2 legs, like, what do you need to like get to happen? It was just like they could not figure out what to do.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
It was funny. It was like I get them changed at Banca. I get them changed in the morning at the smoking area into my legs I was going to wear on the boat for the day, and then I would leave my other legs there, and the girls that work at the resort would just put them in the office for me, right? And so I'd come back, and they were like, "Hey, you want your dry feet?" They'd bring me the legs.
No, I think it's cool when we get to go to like remote places like that, and like that might be the first amputee that they ever seen.
Yeah.
They don't know.
Or the first one with like modern prosthetics.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like I'm sure they have people losing limbs to diabetes and stuff, but there's probably but
to also
having a leg handed to him though, I'm sure was
to also travel like 10,000 miles from home and like just be at a place and be out and about and moving around like because I mean
like that we experienced it more in Fiji. It was the reaction there was just crazy. I mean, not crazy, but like it was surprising, the reaction. I mean, like the immigration or the customs agents were leaving their desk to come
check it out.
You know, and they asked, what did they ask you?
Well, they called me over, and I thought they were going to think something was in the leg pocket. And no, they wanted to know if how the legs were surgically put on. Like they had no idea. And then when I was trying to tell them that he put them on, they were like, "Put them on." He's like, "Well, he lift up his shorts and he's
they
like."
Just thought it was like attached.
How is that going to fly?
Like, or did they bend? Yeah, it made absolutely no sense to them.
Yeah.
But were they worried that he was going to blow something? And no concern about that at all.
Yeah. It was, like the last day in Fiji, the guides were coming over to the boat and taking pictures with me on their cell phones. And come to find out, in their villages, they sit around in a circle and drink kava and tell stories like once a week or something.
Nice.
And they have been telling the story in their village about diving with me that week, and none of their friends believed them. So they all took pictures.
Each and everyone lined up. Yeah.
Even their photo didn't happen. Yeah, exactly.
So you're like Indonesian folklore now.
I guess
They're gonna be telling your story all over the
Yeah,
island.
Chops made more of an impression in the village than I did, though. I think there may be a statue to Chops next time.
Next time
And it
we
will
go
be
there,
the tallest
there's gonna
thing
be
on the whole island. Yeah.
like a statue of Liberty.
Right, yeah.
Chops.
You do kind of have a like a colonial
Yeah.
look.
Right, yeah.
Man, I wish I had some more questions. But
You could.
we're over an hour already. Like, but I am getting kind of hungry. But
Are we
No,
going out for lunch?
yeah, we were
pho,
talking. We were talking about maybe
food.
getting some
Yeah.
pho.
Yeah.
If you guys are all down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever had pho, Chops? Or
I have.
pho?
I have had pho.
Pho?
Yes.
Yeah, man.
I'm
there's-
all for the pho.
we got pho after the last episode we
did?
recorded too.
Yeah.
That's kind of becoming our thing.
Yep.
No, before I let you all go, let's talk about what is next for as far as like certifications or things that you guys want to accomplish. So we'll just go like around the table.
You mean personally or
Or
as a
okay, hey,
program?
how about this? How about this? What's your goal for 2020 as far as diving
Personal goal?
or team or whatever? Yeah, like
I would like to have my possibly my assistant instructor by next summer.
wow, you're going deep.
Yeah, yeah, and I would like to start my introductory technical courses, maybe the advanced nitrox and
Mhm.
side mount. Just kind of get my feet wet a little bit in it.
You got feet now?
Yeah. But yeah, as far as that's personally, and as for Mouthbreathers, I would just like to see us just do things, just continue to make a difference, whatever that looks like right now, depending on funding and depending on availability, participation, and things. So I would really like to see it start blowing up on a humanitarian and ecological helping type scale.
I think that's what can really set us apart. It's just like, hey, we're not just a dive group and we're not just going to a place to go dive and get out of there. Like we're trying to make an impact and reach out. And I think it's important because we got, a lot of like veterans on the team. And then, I mean, some of these places that I want to go to, like they might have some like misconceptions about us.
I think they do, and I think that some of the participants that we want to get involved with Mouthbreathers may have some misconceptions about the places that we'll be going.
Yeah,
I think
for
it's
sure.
good both ways.
Yeah, that's like, I mean, Paraguay was like that. They were like, we've never met Americans before, and you guys are all veterans, and like, they just thought we were just warmongers and like we're just crusaders. Yeah, we're just crusaders, and I was just like, oh, we're just normal dudes, and
Yeah,
we had a certain career path, and but Chops, what are you trying to do 2020?
I am personally going to try to get the what's it called, the
Scuba ability buddies.
Scuba ability
Buddy
buddies thing.
trading.
That way I can, because for me, I mean, the diving has been like mind blowing, but then to also be able to feel like I'm having a purpose by either helping you out, whether it be diving, getting on and off the boat with gear.
Dude, you've become an expert of
Like,
helping me get the wetsuit on and off.
oh, we had that down by the end. It was like fast, but no, it's rewarding. It's already rewarding in itself being down there, but to know that I can still help in some way too is also a big thing.
Oh, dude, your help was so valuable down there. I mean,
Thanks, man.
everyone else on the boat was great as well, but it was like having you, Tyler, and Chris and Rhea and even like Rory. It was just the dive experience that I had in Bonaire was incredible with you guys. So, I mean, any other trips, I don't know why I wasn't invited to Indonesia, but, you know, we could talk about that off air.
It's because we don't like you very much.
But,
Well, we got to get that carry pouch for you first.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
like go upstairs.
Your kangaroo pouch.
I'm not sure I like the face-to-face.
Face-to-face.
I'd rather
That's
go
how it
nut
has
to
to
butt.
be.
That way I can at least see where we're going.
Yeah.
I mean, I was infantry. Either way works.
Or just ride you around like a jetpack.
Good, yeah. Give me like a reindeer harness, and I'll just pull you everywhere.
Like a cart, like,
Go like a cart with the 2 long poles.
We if we ever hang out for Halloween, we should do a Hodor
That's
brand
pretty great.
costume.
Yeah, those 3 out of
Great.
it.
I'll get that dorky haircut.
Yeah.
You got to gain about 200 pounds.
Just
Oh, dude, I'm trying to lose some weight, man.
lay back and roll your eyes up in your head. Costume's done.
Spoiler alert.
Be useless.
So getting back to that, sorry. So that was personally, and as a group, though, I would love to see Mouthbreathers and just us take off to be able to diving, whether it be like helping veterans to core restoration to cleaning up. Like it's all of it's just been like a, you know, like for me as a vet, like when I got back, having a purpose again was tough.
Agreed. Yeah.
I mean, there are things that we can do here locally, too. Like, I was thinking Mouthbreathers could get involved in helping get rid of the sea urchins, you know. That's a big thing right now. And just some different stuff like that.
Yeah, totally. So, yeah, so that was my...
What about you, Rhea?
Well, I kind of caught on fire with this idea of getting the alumni from Valhalla to become advanced divers and kind of write the book on that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we are really breaking the code. There are a lot of incredible groups creating community and stuff, but there's now becoming a group of really badass divers who the actual moving up the chain and being mentors and doing something that's continual. So,
Right.
you know, I think that's the funding challenge. And like, I think we've got to find a way that we're out there diving and doing the diving a lot, you know, and, you know, sometimes we're going to have to carry people or do crazy things. But I think showing up, solving the problem, and just being out there telling people, because there's people who don't want to take the risk with advanced diving.
Yeah.
They don't want to take the advanced travel. Like, I think, you know, Edie had the idea of making a documentary, and, you know, I think part of what that would be is continually showing up. And so for me, I'm looking for continual opportunities for us to show up.
Yeah.
And just to figure it out, you know. And a lot of times, you know, I grew up with a quadriplegic dad. We lost his swimsuit more times. There's some ugly stuff happening, but you know what? He wanted to be in the water so bad. It was like, you know, sand in his crack and us dropping him and all of it. He just is like, pick me back up, you know, let's go. And I think that's the kind of, you know, people are always like, wow, that's so courageous and stuff. It's just about showing up, you know, just I want to show up more this year, you know.
Yeah, it's
There's
just
only a certain amount of pre-planning that you can do.
it's.
Anyway. You can pre-think it, but
I
it's-
enjoy the problem solving
Yeah.
aspect of it, and I think that's what I love about just scuba diving in general. Is, you know, you can't be too far sighted where you're thinking 10 steps ahead. You just got to focus on what's in front of you, and just, you know, okay, here's a problem, let's solve it, move on to the next one, figure this one out, and it's just like a series of just problem solving. And that's like when we're, you know, down there diving as a dive group or a team or, you know, just a buddy pair, it's like we just, you know, figure one thing out, run into something, you know, get ourselves out of it, get back up on the boat, talk about it, what we could have done better, or even something as simple as getting me out of the water. We tried a couple different techniques and dealing with the surge, and then, you know, it's like we just get it done, taken care of, and then we get back up on the surface and we talk about, all right, well, maybe next time let's take the weights out of the pocket, or
Right.
you know, I'll go for the clips, you know, you keep them stable. Or
Well, the thing I really think that works about this group is that band of brothers culture, where you guys already are like pre-coded with that you're going to do whatever it takes. And so there's not like a fail as long as we get the job done.
Right.
Like we didn't
Right.
fail, you know? And so it's kind of nice working with a group of people that aren't like, oh shit, you completely screwed that up and everything. It's like, wow, okay, that didn't work. What are we going to do different? You know,
Right.
but we don't have a lot of people arguing about what's right. You know
Yeah.
what? We spend a lot of time getting pretty excited about what works. And I think that has a lot to do with the culture you guys come from.
yeah, I think
Adapt and overcome.
I think a lot of our like previous careers has just taught us like there's more than one way to do something. You know? Like, it's
With nothing. That's what
yeah,
I
you
gotta
don't necessarily. There's not really a
Where
you
there's
know.
a will, there's a way.
right. There's not a strict path like oh
But-
you can only do it this way. It's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's made us a little more, pardon the double entendre, but a little more comfortable with uncomfortability.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
No, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
you know, it's just kind of how it has to be. Like you
Yeah.
were talking about having to take a dump with the bathroom door open. I mean,
Okay.
it's not ideal, but
Yeah.
whatever.
It is what it is.
Or you get, and then you get to see a pufferfish. You know?
You know, like,
Can I ask what your goals are next year?
I was hoping you would. Obviously, dive as much as I can when the opportunity presents itself. You know, I'm definitely love diving with you guys. Wouldn't mind checking out Yale Lake. Try some of that cold water diving just to get that experience.
Yeah.
But you know, diving with like life waters, and we're talking about maybe going to either Cayman, Brack, or Rotan, which I haven't been to either of those places yet. But then as far as just like personal goals, just keep learning and doing different things. I don't know if I'm going to have the time, but I would love to get into like a cavern or a cenote or one of those, you know, kind of more tech side of things.
I know you and
But
Kevin both want to get into that kind of.
yeah, no, I want to get into cave diving for sure.
You know, I didn't think that I did, but I've been watching his YouTube videos about just this one school that was on YouTube, and the amount of training that went into that.
Oh yeah.
At this school of practice, you know, and I was just at first I was a little like, well, shit, I don't want to go into that like, I don't know what I'm doing, but then I think following those steps would make me a lot more comfortable, and I was also worried because my sack rate was so bad, and I've dramatically improved it, so
Yeah.
it's so now
Your sack rate?
your surface air consumption rate, your breathing rate. How much air?
He's
you
an air hog.
use. Yeah, I was.
That's the mouth
I was.
breather. I'm definitely the mouth
I am
breather now.
I am an average scuba diver now.
All right.
On air, I have consistently over 1 hour dives. So.
Yeah. But yeah, no, just keep getting those certifications and whatever course you guys think that like, you know, would be beneficial, just keep moving in. And I think as far as like Mouthbreathers as a group, I mean, everything that you guys mentioned was all great. I'd like to recruit some more people. I'm sure there's some other veterans, either local or West Coast, or I mean even
We've got
nationally.
some pool time coming up in December too.
Oh yeah.
If you know any local guys, I've got a few guys that I'm talking to right now, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a certification, like that kind of
Come and see
commitment.
if you
We'll
wanna-
also
They could do like
a-
some
it's more like
scuba
introductory to
discovery.
scuba, discovery.
Yeah.
We're gonna get like the people who my prosthetist who like my legs. I think we're gonna do just to familiarize them with just to give them sort of an idea when I come in there asking for something, why I would be asking for this particular thing. So.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And then, you know, they can get that experience because there's got to be other I mean, disabled veteran divers or people that are interested in diving, and it's just,
yeah.
I don't know. I really feel like we can lead the charge on a lot of things with this group, you know, as far as like the humanitarian stuff, and then pioneering, you know, advanced divers.
That's what I think.
To figuring out a liveaboard.
My girlfriend Edie is making the website as we speak. So
yeah, no, I'll.
So it'll be up really soon.
We were talking Mouthbreathers Scuba.
Mouthbreathers Scuba.org.
.org.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll make sure I put links to.
Yeah, and we have a lot of. This has been a great year, so we have a lot of rich content. Because I think visually being, you know, instead of talking about doing things, we've actually been doing it, you know what I mean? And it's not like it's all about the pictures, but it's more like nailing down a real action-oriented group of people.
Well, the pictures tell the story too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
go a long way to doing that.
Yeah, I'll have to. We should put those up. Well, they'll be up on the website, right? Yeah. So I'll make sure I put links to that, and I don't know, maybe if I got time, I could splice some of the photos and just steal them off of like.
And a lot of them have been going up on the Facebook the Mouthbreathers Facebook page too.
Yeah, I made that jump. I don't know. I might have to get back on Facebook soon because it's just like the hooks
just don't check your wall.
In.
I've been dabbling on Facebook a little bit just because of Mouthbreathers stuff and diving stuff. Just never read your wall.
Dude, it's so hard though. Like when people tag you and stuff, and it's just like
just don't read. Well, read your tags, but don't read your wall. You don't need to know what all your friends are thinking at any given moment.
Yeah, no, dude, it's been like I think 3 days now, and I still have it. I've created a fake account for just so I can still run my podcast page, but. I don't know. I don't really not miss it. I just feel like I am going to disappear from a lot of people's lives. But you know what I've been doing is I've been texting more. Like, I mean, old friends that I hadn't talked to in a while, and I would just see them on Facebook and, you know, give them a thumbs up or a like. And it's like, now I'm just actually like reaching out and making like an actual connection because I don't think the connections you make on social media really carry that much weight. So we'll see how long it lasts. We'll see.
I mean, just the two of you, man. Seeing pictures of you guys on there is just an inspiration because I didn't even know that was first of all, that you could dive with prosthetics. Second of all, that you could be a quadriplegic and dive. Like, this whole thing is mind-blowing to me. So I really encourage people to go and check out some of those pictures.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still on like Instagram, and I'll post pictures up on there, but I don't really set out to become that inspiration porn guy.
But in general, it is semi-inspiring to see your two ugly mugs actually make a picture look decent.
Right.
So.
It's hard to do.
It is. I mean, the amount of cameras we go through and broken lenses is just...
Just photograph me from the big fat belly down. It'll be all right.
Photoshop, man. Photoshop.
Fat man's dream.
All right. Speaking of fat, man, let's go get fat on some pho.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll wrap this thing up.
Thank you.
Any other last words before we wrap it up?
Thanks for having us on.
Nothing.
Yeah,
Oh,
thank you.
yes. This has been incredible. I'm actually wanted to get. I've been wanting to do a foursome for a while. We did a threesome. We did a threesome a couple episdes
You've
ago.
never told me this.
Now we
You
got
thought you
four.
were joining a whole new world with me, right?
Maria, the things you lead me into.
All right, we'll end it on that note.
Added a little diversity to this group.
Thanks. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.